Hello and welcome back to Google.rs. It's Byron speaking. And after a short break here, I'm back. The previous session was all about testing, peeking, how this could work. And I think I've got a good understanding how it will work. And the next thing I want to do, I wonder, did I actually save this before I try to compile? Because I thought this actually works, but let's try again. Besides that, the next thing that I need as a very foundation is something that allows me to read YAML files, because the YAML file, after all, is the foundation. I don't want to use JSON files for configuration because the YAML files are so much easier to read and to write for human beings. JSON is still doable though, but YAML is something that I appreciate more, and I think others do as well. So let's find something that allows me to do just that. Creates IO. Let's try in a naive fashion. And all right, libyaml bindings. So there's no native one. Last updated a month ago, so chances are this doesn't even compile anymore. Build passing, but there's no trigger for rebuilding it with the latest. Can I trigger a rebuild? That would be cool. Wow. Authored and committed. An Asian guy. Chinese maybe. So can I re-trigger one of these? Apparently not. Okay. So let's see. First time I read YAML in Rust. If necessary, I will write, and this is something I would actually prefer, I would write some sort of bindings that allow to use the serialization, deserialization infrastructure of CERD to do just that, but I guess that would be quite a big thing. Does not work on Rust 1.0 due to a dependency on libc. Yeah, well, stdio buff reader. Is this, I think that's already new enough, huh? So possibly this works in order of what I want to do. Document iterator, YAML 1.1 specs. Well, 1.1, I don't need that. I just need basic usage. Also, what happens with, if it's a lib YAML or a, if this thing is depending on a C library. Where is that one coming from? That's the problem. Yeah, I have the feeling this adds an evil dependency that nobody wants. Let's see. Dependencies, regex macros. Well, apparently it's required to have lib YAML to link against it, huh? Looks a bit like it. Maybe it's in the library itself where that is done. Lib. Where's lib? Oops. Yeah, I have a bad feeling about YAML for some reason. Also, you didn't build, is build.rs. Interesting. I've never used that. Let's read up on it just real quick. Guide, build.rs. Or build equals. I think it's in the manifest, if anywhere. Here, because that should be a complete description of the TOML format. Here we go. Build field. This specifies a file in the repository, which is a build script for building native code. More information can be found in the build script guide. All right. Building a bundled C library. So basically, I think I can look it up here. Run command. What does he want to run? Any command. Okay, output here needs to be set. Probably that's something that cargo does, possibly, maybe. Code again, GCC. So maybe this CodeGen file contains the information required. Oh, interesting. It's a C program that prints YAML information. This is how that works. Oh, I hit my microphone. Yeah, interesting. So I don't see any, usually you have something like libyaml.sys or something, which you link again, so what you require. Here's the lib. To kind of keep that information, create name, create type, lib. Feature libc, slice patterns. I still wonder where it believes to get the library, and I could just try to use it. Why shouldn't I try to use it instead of trying to understand it, which I probably will not, considering my lack of experience with anything related to C bindings. So, do you build or do you not build? I think I have libyaml here, so whatever I build here should have probably natively the libyaml dependency. All right, compiling YAML. That actually seemed to have worked. Regex macros, so far so good. Well, that actually worked. Let's build the tests. Just to be sure. Test pass, amazing. So target debug. Let's see what bindings it has. Lib YAML dylib. Okay, so that's required. This will make it harder for people to use because you have to install this, and that's nothing that comes pre-installed with anything. This is odd. And apparently it depends on itself, which makes no sense at all. Where is that even coming from? Is it Brew that created it? 47. See, it's Brew. Yeah, that sucks. I would like to have a native one, because that would link statically, and I seriously hamper the portability of my software if I would use this. I'd rather deal or go with JSON, to be honest, instead of having this issue. Which YouTube 3. Here we have libSSL, crypto, but that's all standard libraries, but that's actually that is better now. I think previously we have been using more. Anyway, so that's kind of okay here. Yeah, I don't want that. Is there some other YAML binding? Some premature early YAML that barely parses YAML but still works? Man. Yeah, I mean, having the C bindings isn't bad, but I don't know how to deploy that stuff then. Especially because static bindings don't seem to be possible. And this doesn't work on Rust 1, so I mean, I can't use it. Okay, so that is YAML, and that's the only thing you find. We're looking for YAML, right? Maybe there's YML. Yeah, TOML certainly there is. probably even native. Yeah, Toml is easier to parse. I think that's why it's available in native form. Yeah. It's relatively straightforward, I guess. Yeah. So yeah, I go with JSON then. Let's see how that looks like. Wow. Wow. That's very rusty. Rusty style. There's the parse loop. Interesting. Yeah, anyway. Oh, wow. Actually, a lot of code. And here it's getting more interesting and more interesting. Wow. So a lot of stuff. JSON seems to be easier to parse, huh? At least on lexical level. True. Elixir is probably kind of the easiest thing to do here. And there's lots of test code. Anyway, so let's ask Google for Rust and YAML. Rust, maybe there's something that is not on crates. This one. Oh, there's another one. Oh, it's raining. Oh. And here's a pure Rust one. Last touched November 5th. Huh. Unfortunately, that will it's unlikely to still work. And also, there's not much going on. Nope. That's nothing. Dead. All right. YAML on cargo. Yeah, I don't think there is anything. This could be a nice project, implementing a YAML parser in Rust. Yeah, I would be thinking about it, but parsing YAML is not easy. One could I'm totally considering it, to be honest, because YAML is kind of part of the deal for me. JSON is pretty standard in the web world, and YAML is pretty simple replacement for XML, but lacks schema standard. Yeah, I don't want to have XML configuration files, but honestly, CERT and YAML. Using the CERT infrastructure with the serialization stuff that it generates, I think that is something everybody can use. The serialize thing just implements a visitor pattern that you can then use to do anything. So let's have a look. Actually, I think I also have it locally here. Yeah. So let's see. I would consider this. So JSON. So there's D. Okay. Deserialization. Is there also some sort of value? Enum value? No. I have no clue how the architecture works of that library, but I guess you would find out. String deserializer. Yeah, I think looking at JSON is what helps you to actually do this. And serializing would probably be the simple thing, because you wouldn't have to understand a lot. You just have to traverse the data and then spit out yeah, spit out the individual tokens. Visit I64. Okay. Impl serializer for serializer. So the serializer trait, I guess, is being implemented. Yeah, that's being implemented automatically by the macros. And then, how's the visiting working? Visit bool. There must be one function that takes some sort of delegate that makes the calls, right? How does it work? Ah, there is a visitor where there is a sequence visitor. Okay. So this is how that works, even though this takes ownership for some reason. Not necessarily, actually. Because you could also provide them with a borrow, and that would then be dynamic dispatch. I think there's more on dynamic dispatch level here, I guess. But I'm not sure. Totally not. Well, interesting. What's the thing with CERD and YAML? YAML support. Okay. For configuration files that wanted to use structure richer than TOML, allows when also wanted to allow comments, with JSON doesn't. I did see that someone made a binding lib YAML, which could be used as a foundation for this. I'd rather prefer a native version. You know what? I don't like programming languages that don't have YAML support. So I'd actually be willing to do that, which is a major undertaking, but I guess serialization should be relatively easy to implement. Because YAML, after all, is just, you know, I can learn from the JSON implementation and then do what I do. So, sir, we have a serializer for any writer. We can take options if we like with formatter. Here we go. Then, yeah, it's really just that. But I still wonder where it's getting these calls. But serialization should be easy. I think that should be a good starting point. Look at this. I mean, I think it would be rather similar when doing it for JSON. Yeah, quite similar, except for strings, which usually don't need apostrophes depending on their contents, though. Yeah. And lots of test code, obviously. How much test code is here? And how does the formatter work? Yeah, I have many questions about this. But, well, escape bytes. Yeah, probably there could be some code to reuse here as well. But overall, it doesn't look like too complicated. But JSON is simple. YAML should be doable, though. I'm not overly pessimistic about that. Not at all. Nope. So tests are probably here. Test sir. Yeah, and probably you want to run it against the entire YAML test suite that has to come from somewhere. Huh. Yeah, that is something. I will have to research this. But I think that's kind of the contribution that has to be made. I don't want to use... I mean, I could use JSON. This would make it a lot easier. But it would also be easy, considering that I am kind of building on top of JSON values here. Would also be easy if everything is in the third world. Third world, not third world. even though I believe one would even have to, you know, because the value here is a JSON value. Yeah. And you would then possibly, I mean, I would like to share this. That's the point. And if you would share it, this would break the API, but we are still in pre-1, so we can still break stuff. Because where's the benefit if I will then have another structure that is a YAML structure and no kind of shared structure that spans all of them? You know, I think YAML can represent the same thing. And I guess that's what I would want to do. Well, the deserialization is the more difficult part. This is where you have to parse stuff. But even that should be no big deal. I mean, not too much of a problem. After all, test-driven development will help you to get through this. And if you set up your test suite just right, it will work. Test JSON. Yeah. It's gonna be something. Huh. Also, you don't want to do something that is worse than something that already exists. So you probably want to learn from existing parsers, like maybe even the C version, and see what they can do and how they set it up. Oh, man. Yeah, so I think the main point here is that this gets called, now I get it, trait serializer. So trait serialize, that's the one that implements the actual function, and it takes a serializer that is then called, that is then called on the respective values like this. And that's what you implement. I see. And it has some default implementation that makes sense, but still. I see. And this just called for everything. And what happens if you dig down, like visit none, visit some, visit sequence, named sequence. Okay. Visit enum sequence, visit map. Yeah. And then you have a map visitor. What's a map visitor? Yeah, I don't know exactly how that works. But is it is there some map visitor here as well? Visit map. So that's implemented for the JSON serializer, I suppose. Impulsor serializer. Interesting that he uses its own, I don't know how that works actually, its own prefix he uses. I've never seen that before. So you have the mod that is called JSON. Yeah. And he imports a few things. Ooh, that's a tough nut to crack. Man, shit. I totally don't feel like it, but on the other hand, I think with the little session I did on the JSON lexer, I feel fit enough to do it for YAML, but obviously I do want to contribute that to CERD. Totally. Yeah. All right, let's take, I will do some research off camera because I'm kind of, this can't be done. I want to take my time and don't want to say, probably it's a good thing to speak out loud about it, but I want to gather some more information first before I make that decision. But yeah, thanks for watching and have a good day.